Welcome to the Tough Decisions Network for Entrepreneurs. I'm Dan Hanford, and my wife, Danae, and I interview successful people sharing stories behind tough decisions that they've had to make along their journey as an entrepreneur. On the podcast with us today is J.R. Burgess. J.R., talk to us a little bit about your background as an entrepreneur and where your current focus is right now.
Thanks so much for having me on, Dan and Danae. It's always fun to talk with fellow entrepreneurs that are doing great things and always trying to strive and grow. And that's kind of started for me at a young age, as I can remember being a child, from shoveling snow to mowing lawns to picking up trash, you name it. Since I was as young as I can remember, I was always trying to earn income. I failed miserably in high school due to troubling partying, a troubled childhood. So I didn't quite know I was an entrepreneur, but knew I wanted to have success. And I was a saver and a pursuer of wanting to have the things that I wanted in life.
And what are you currently working on right now as an entrepreneur?
Thank you. I'm the CEO of two companies. One is Rejuve Medical, which is one of the largest independently owned integrated clinics in the world. It's a combination of non-surgical orthopedic and stem cells, family practice and functional medicine, and then medical fitness, which we think is what separates us in getting leading outcomes around the world. And then we license and franchise that model and have replicated in 73 clinics around the world, recently doing a 100 license location deal in China, all at the mission of regenerating health around the world.
That's really exciting. And, one of the things that I remember, because you and I first met when I flew up to your offices there in St. Cloud, Minnesota, and got to tour your facility. You have a beautiful facility. It's like a little over 20,000 square feet, or right at 20,000 square feet?
28,000 square feet, yes.
Yeah. I love your setup. It's a great combination of that physical component of medicine at the same time and all under one roof.
Yeah, we strongly believe that any medicine that is just your traditional allopathic, if they come in and we're treating with drugs, our first option is surgery, is managed care, necessary for those that maybe don't want to get better or in the quick, fast society, but a certain amount of patients want to get better, want to avoid drugs, and surgery is the first option and only the last resort. And for those, we strongly believe that when we exercise, we learn how to breathe, de-stress, learn the right foods that we're taking in, that we can prevent most of the chronic diseases that are out there today.
JR, what is the second business that you are the CEO of?
That is Health Ovaders. So our clinical practice is direct to consumers. Health Ovaders is a consulting company. It runs a mastermind, and it also licenses our medical fitness or our functional medicine and regenerative practice. And that is directly to doctors or hospitals, healthcare systems, fitness clubs more recently, where we're just basically replicating our turnkey model that we've created in St. Cloud, Minnesota.
So clearly you have lots of opportunities to make difficult decisions, probably on a daily basis. And so we want you to talk specifically about a couple of decisions. And first of all, would you tell us about a tough decision that you've had to make that has maybe not had as good an outcome as you would have liked, or maybe even, what you might call a bad outcome, but something that you've been able to learn from and it has changed the way you make decisions going forward?
Yeah, I think my biggest mistakes in the beginning were people mistakes, meaning I'm a believer in people. I strongly believe that the bigger the dream, the more important the team, and always see the best and believe in people. And when you're a leader that has your hands on and realize you can't scale and grow without the next people rising and taking your job and continuing to grow that, especially as the CEO or the COO, is you want people, when they get unhappy, to see your same vision. You want them to be bought in and row in the same direction. So early on, I seen that I made decisions that I would try to keep people, or they'd want this job, and finding it for them. And I've made some decisions to try to keep people longer, and everybody that was unhappy or that I was fitting in a role, or they were against somebody else in the company that was a leader, an executive, I basically would try to strategize or save it, and it always ended bad. So I've learned over time that, you got to trust your gut, and you can't make the perfect roadmap for everybody. You really have to do what's best for the business and try to create win-win situations and most opportunities.
Well, and I think in that same situation, because we've struggled with that ourselves. I think any business of any level can struggle with that, and whether they overcome that, I think, is the determination of whether or not they can scale to the level that they want to scale to. But I think you also look at this and you have to go, that person is holding the business back from being able to grow like it needs to grow. But at the same time, not only are they holding the business back, but you were holding them back from a business perspective from growing themselves because they are not the right fit, right?
Absolutely. If they don't fit the core values, if they can't hit the marks of that job and they can't be successful in that job, how are they going to be successful in the next job? Especially if your company doesn't need that. So as much as we want it to be a perfect world for everybody, just like you said, these are decisions that are detrimental to the organization. If you don't have the right people in the right seat, or you try to find something that you don't need and have identified are your major weaknesses or gaps. It's about strategy, and you definitely, the right player is going to leap forward you 3 times than having the wrong person in there. And like you said, it can be your deciding factor of success.
And I think that one of the hardest pieces to this particular topic is a lot of these people that helped us start a business or get to where we are right now. And that
are not the ones to take you forward. You're so right.
Exactly. But it's hard because you get to the point of being friends with these people and that you kind of feel bad because they helped you get to that point, but they're not the right people to get you to the next level.
And I can honestly tell you, Dan and Danae, that is probably the biggest mistake. I've, had to fire my own brother who was a doctor. I've had to, let go of best friends and lose relationships in businesses. So partnering with employees, loved ones, or friends that you can't manage or hold the same metric or expectation of what anybody of greatness or excellence would be in that position, you're going to run into troubles. And especially as a CEO, I have to treat this company like it's my baby. So when people let your relationship or understand or try to use the friendship as a way to not get around that, that's again a mistake that I've made, and I won't do that anymore. I try not to always have couples. There's always a golden rule, but I've been bit most of the times when people can't handle that same situation or relationship or be treated like I need success in each position. I want to grow them personally, professionally, and the performance of that job. And when relationship gets in the way, it's a designed outcome that is not going to put you in the best position to succeed.
JR, do you have any guidelines or principles by which you hire or how you move around employees now because of these mistakes that you've made?
Absolutely. I've used Traction the last 3 years, and it's really specific about the outcome and the metrics of that position. You take the person out of it, and I look at my strengths and weaknesses and then our other leaders. It's like, who do they need around them to really build a championship team? So we've done Colby tests. For me, I'm a visionary and I'm fast and I need a follow-through person. So I know the next hire in my team identified on what's going to help us reach those goals of that position. So really being objective and transparent about what we need to make a winning team. Just like when you're building a championship baseball team, you need a strong left fielder. You've all heard the story, you're only as strong as your weakest link. So that takes being humble. That takes talking about our weaknesses and realizing where we have to grow or what gap we have to fill. So it's really about what is the next hire, what is the next role, and how do we objectively measure it along the way, and hiring people with the right skills and attributes that align with that.
And thanks to you, I actually have that book sitting on my bookshelf right now, Traction. So it was a very good book. And I encourage all the listeners to pick that book up called Traction. Let's shift here a little bit, JR, and talk about another tough decision that you've had to make as an entrepreneur. And this one had a really good and positive outcome, and discuss some of the lessons you learned through that one.
Yeah, probably the most challenging decision of Rejuve's whole existence is we started really growing because of the outcomes we were getting with people through our integrated model. And we decided to start building the state-of-the-art building. And we are independently owned. Dr. Baumgartner and I became partners later on the road after this merger. And essentially, we took on $5 million of liability walking into a new building that we owned. And we got a call from our insurance network, which in Minnesota, you join one network and they contract to all the major payers for you. And we were told to give up PRP, stem cells, and functional medicine to stay in the network. And if we left, we would lose 3/4 of our contracts. And there were no other networks in Minnesota. So we even had to join a network that only had a few payers out of North Dakota. So essentially, we lost half of our insurance contracts in our revenue when we went into this new building at a time where we needed it the most. And we were given one question: you can let go of that stuff and keep your contracts. But it was too cutting edge. They didn't see the evidence. They didn't see that it fit their total value of care, is what they called it. And, the cool part is now we are 5 years later. We've since got all those insurance contracts back, even the latest one of Medica of this year. And it essentially forced us to learn how to market directly to consumers, to build a cash-based model. And that was our springboard of what we teach other doctors around the world, is they all want to treat people with medicine that restores and regenerates health, but they don't know how to get into the cash pay world where patients have to pay with cash instead of the insurance, and how to not have to sell. So it, was the change that has set up our entire future, but it darn near crippled us to the stress and the finances, and 2 years of losing over a few $100,000 a year. It was a tough time.
I can't imagine going through that, especially with all those contracts and just being in that brand new building. So without giving away any of your secret sauce, if you will, what would you say is maybe like one of your strategies that you use that has worked really well to be able to attract, cash paying patients into the office that aren't necessarily relying on their insurance?
Become a category of one. Be known for a specific outcome. We started educating our market versus most doctors don't get out there. They're not willing to put a word out there. You're seeing more jump into the space now with the huge growth of podcasts and social media and video, which is exciting for me because consumers are starting to learn about, non-surgical means to drugs and some of these other things that aren't effective out there that studies have even shown. So, you're seeing the rise of people learning how to communicate authority, of educating consumers on option. It doesn't have to be hard selling. So we did that. And what the most important part is we had social proof, people that we would tell this story to, that insurance is, only paying for certain things that are no good, or insuring your health is more of a catastrophic need versus they're missing the preventative, the lifestyle that actually can prevent chronic disease. So it was a really a focused effort on educating consumers how we're different. And that forced us to get really good at messaging, at communicating, at giving options, and really set us up to be successful in everything that we do. So I'd recommend that you got to get your message out there, educate and provide value, and then put the social proof out there. You bring your patients, your people along for the message, and social proof has been our number one reason why people are choosing. When people are choosing to pay $6,000 for a stem cell procedure, they want to see other people that had it work. So those two things of educating and having the social proof are the two most important aspects of cash practice medicine.
Could you share some strategies that you like to use when you are facing a tough decision?
I definitely, in my young days, I used to be reactive, and I learned the mistakes of that. So I like never making a decision that day or in a reactive situation or when somebody first brings that to me. So now I have my test of thinking it through from everybody's angle. So I will take it home and I'm thinking, why is this person bringing it to me? What is the outcome that they want? What are the logical actions of one change or another that would happen and affect multiple departments? So I try to tell people all the time as the CEO, I really have to make decisions from three aspects. Most people come from one, and this is why I need to sit on every decision for at least a night. Is number one is I have to look at it from the business perspective and create a scenario where we stay profitable, where we're able to keep the lights on, have quality talent. Second is I need to make sure it makes the employee happy. So if a nurse comes to me with wanting a better system in the clinic, how does that impact the front desk? So how does it improve the employee's life? And then ultimately, how does it add to the patient experience or the outcome? So if I can't make a decision that is benefiting all three angles, I know I'm not looking at the whole picture well enough, as people bring problems from one perspective. It's the leaders, the owners, the CEO's job to see all the angles.
All right, we're going to take a quick break and hear from one of our show sponsors. When we come back, we'll talk to JR about some of his favorites as it relates to his life as an entrepreneur.
Have you ever thought about investing in real estate, but find yourself so busy that you don't have time for it? Do you have FOMO, which is the fear of missing out? At HanfordCapital.com, We help investors with passive real estate investments that project better returns than traditional investment vehicles such as the stock market. If you'd like to find out more about our passive real estate investments, visit hanfordcapital.com. That's HANDFORD capital.com. We will jump on a call with you to discuss your investment goals and to see if our investments are a good fit for you. This advertisement is not to be construed as an offer or recommendation to buy or sell a security. Visit hanfordcapital.com. And we are back with J.R. Burgess on going through a series of quick questions and answers that we call the trifecta. So we want you to, J.R., go over your favorite technology that you use in business that helps make your life easier every day.
For me, that's Zoom. It's a lot of interviews, a lot of calls, a lot of meetings, traveling around the world. It records. It does a lot of things without me thinking. I can screencast, I show. So Zoom is my favorite technology in business that makes my life easier.
What is a favorite quote that you've heard that's helped you as an entrepreneur?
It is basically victim versus victor. And as an entrepreneur, it's I control my outcome or I don't control it. So meaning there's certain things that I don't control, and you just got to respond what you can control with. And simply everything I take as a championship is that I have the ability to influence the outcome.
And what's a favorite book that you've read that's helped you with your decision making?
Turning Pro by Stephen Pressfield. So that helped me not only give up drinking, but it also helped me walk into any situation and be able to have any conversation that needs to be had. I think that's one of the most important things as a leader or CEO is being able to have every conversation that's necessary. So not aggressively, not passively, but communicating, seeking to understand, and making sure I'm in the best mindset to have every conversation that needs to happen.
JR, what's the next thing for you right now on your vision or dream board?
The vision dream board is basically letting go of the next part. I've learned and ran 2 different companies that, have multiple 7-figure opportunities and 8-figure opportunities, but I've spread myself too thin over time and learning you can't control. So having to let go of one company or be an advisor role, even if it doesn't run a certain way or how you would do it, is very challenging. It's like letting go of a baby or something you birth, but to get to the next level, sometimes and climb up that ladder, you have to let go of the rung beneath you. And that's probably the biggest challenge and transition I'm going through right now.
Well, JR, I must say that, as I hear you talk, you remind me a lot of myself. And even, as I've continued to scale myself, I struggle with some of these very same things of, giving up certain things and having to basically, understand that, yes, it's not going to be run exactly the way I want it, but it'll allow us to be able to scale and allow us to be able to continue that vision process, which is what I'm very good at, and you are as well.
And that's where I'm also good at is developing the others. So if you really look at your words and you do that and you have the right metric, and that's where I've made a mistake. I've scaled fast and I didn't keep that next manager with the right metrics or the right accountability or mentorship that really needed to succeed. And that's my biggest lesson going forward now is I am coming out of Rejuve Medical, but now I have better benchmarks and I have a system in place to develop that next person. If it doesn't, I realize any big dream and vision is like scaling this massive mountain. There's going to be ups and downs, and it's not easy, and that's all right. I'm not going for the green pastures. I realize being an entrepreneur is just like lifting weights. The more adversity, the more you're able to manage, the stronger your muscles get. But at the end of the day, you definitely have to have the right people, back to question number 1, in the right seats if you're able to scale properly and let go of that rung beneath you.
Well, how can the listeners reach out to you, JR, if they want to contact you, follow you some more, or just kind of get to know you a little bit more?
So they could email jr@rejuvemedical.com, and I'd be happy to email them one of my 2 best-selling books, or they can go to our practice, www.rejuvemedical, and see more about us there. But would be happy to give you any guidance that I can, as we love to put entrepreneurs and medical leaders on the right path and to the right connection so they can continue to grow their vision.
Well, JR, thank you so much for taking some time out of your very busy schedule. I really do appreciate it. I know our listeners do as well. I wish you the very best and look forward to continuing to follow you as you continue to grow as an entrepreneur, and looking forward to having you on a future episode as well.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Good luck to you guys and continue the great mission.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Tough Decisions Network. Be sure to visit toughdecisions.net to gain access to show notes for this episode and to join our free weekly entrepreneur email where we will send you news about the latest technology for your business, inspiring quotes, and the latest books for entrepreneurs. That's toughdecisions.net.